Hey guys, Lily here. Welcome to another Echoes podcast episode exploring the art of conscious living and these mythic threads and woven whispers of time and stories, like these echoes that come across the wind in our lives that we can learn to listen to and share and connect with, to bring a real sense of deep meaning and purpose in our lives through creative self-expression and holistic healing. And so on today's episode, I'm having a conversation with Naomi Kennedy, who just magically appeared into my life a number of months ago. And Naomi's work comes from multidisciplinary artistic exploration and spiritual self-inquiry, deep meditation practice, trance and medicine work. And she's really a holistic healer that brings a multiplicity of modalities and traditions from many different lineages from her time walking on this earth across multiple lands. And she draws from ancient Celtic wisdom and mythology to North American philosophies and Maori traditions, Indigenous Australian traditions. And she really just weaves these kind of intricate threads that become this rich tapestry of a way that we can look at the world from a place of wonder. And a real sense of inner knowing and integrity of who we are, like this really sort of overarching vision of how we can live in vibrant alignment in our lives, a holistic and integrated approach to how we live our days day by day, from the embodied practice to yoga, asana, and how we nourish ourselves and our bodies on a physical level, all the way through to these metaphysical, cosmic, transcendental realms that are infinite and beyond our comprehension, that we can tap into and connect with through listening to our dreams and these whispers and messages and threads of patterns of the past that we can learn to listen to and connect with, that can help to show us the path or guide our way a little in the world, that can really tap us into and really reconnect with us, or like help us to remember these empowering ways of living that really are ancient ways of living, where we live connected to the land and connected to one another as one, you know. And because really it's this idea that you are me and I am you and we are all one. It's this cosmic consciousness that we can start to really resonate with and vibrate on those wavelengths and so those levels that can bring us a real sense of personal power and authority and purpose and integrity and authenticity in our lives. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Keep an eye out for the Anywhere Theatre Festival promotions. We'll be doing the 7 Colour Theory workshop series, as well as a juicy live immersive body art ceremony the night before the Scorpio full moon lunar eclipse. So it's going to be this wonderful embodied arts sacred ceremony where we can celebrate who we are as creative human beings in all our colour and diversity. So thanks so much to Naomi. We're doing Crown Chakra workshop this Saturday from 12 till 2 p.m. at West End Yoga. Hope to see you there, and looking forward to sharing and connecting more with you throughout this journey as this project and this work evolves. See ya. Alrighty, hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Echoes podcast. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and thank you so much to Naomi for coming along and being part of this project and sharing your wisdom with us. Yeah, it's a real honor to have you here because you're such an incredible, powerful healer and just a really
radical, honest, authentic way shower for people, you know. Something that I really admire in you is like, you don't give a shit about what people think of you, you know, and there's a real power in that, to just sit in your own authenticity and your own story in the light and the dark, you know, and then to use that as an inspiration for people to heal and to support people on their journeys is epic. So thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Lillian. It's been really beautiful interacting with you as much as we have so far. And I really appreciate our relationship deepening and then this being able to share with everyone and move into what's to come on a variety of levels. I'm very, very honored to work with you. And it's awesome to be, standing beside next level humans that are, you know, not only here for ourselves, but for the world. You know, and like really thinking about, okay, what's my sustainability, what's my abundance, but also what is my impact? You know, where am I putting my impact and the intention? So our values, I really appreciate your and Jonas's values and Maracas and the all of the projects that you instigate are the values are at the core of truth of what I really sit with, which in everything I do, it's got to be that, or else
for sure.
I just don't participate.
Yeah, I feel that. I've gotten to a sense in my a place in my life where if I don't feel it serves me and nourishes me, don't need to participate, you know, and that's okay. You know, we can have these boundaries, and we'll talk a little bit about boundaries and this kind of connection to the cosmos and who we are and how we can create this balance between the creative visionary realm, but also like coming back into the grounding and deepening our roots, because a lot of this, particularly in the color theory project, it's about this alignment of who we are, not only in our chakras, but like deeper than that. I think the chakras is just a framework for articulating what that is, but it's this deeply energetic, kind of multifaceted exploration, you know, and so it's not one aspect in isolation. It's how they all interrelate to one another and how we can come into an alignment with all those elements. So perhaps would you like to begin by telling us a little bit about who you are and your story?
Beautiful. So my name's Naomi Kennedy. I'm Canadian, and I've been on Australian lands in what are we, Turrbal and Yagara Mobs territories for going on 2 years, but I've also been blessed to travel around and journey around Australia, thanks to COVID, of all things. So about the last, since about 2007, I have, pretty much my whole life, I've never done anything that doesn't make me excited, doesn't make me smile. I can't work. It's just not a thing. I can do something for 3.5 months, and then I'll just leave.
Yeah, I have a similar disposition.
So throughout that process, I've come to develop and gain a lot of trainings in somatic theater, like somatic therapy, theater of the oppressed training, as well as different art processes. I have a diploma, post-diploma, and diploma in fine arts, visual arts, certification in animation, and I've been turned in film, as well as a variety of just, you know, psychological, like how to de-escalate anger, clients, mediation trainings, and then over the years, sound healing trainings with crystal bowls, multiple years of working with how to channel past life redemption processes, and a variety of healing modalities are also under my belt at this point. So everything I do, everything I bring, comes from the core of me trying to understand reality. And so the human design, when I learned about it, really explained, it was like your first 30 years, you'll be in chaos. Then from 30 to 50, I'm the hermit on the roof as I digest all of what was the chaos. And then 52 on, I'm supposed to move into my sage space. And so that, when I learned that, really made a lot of sense for me, because my life has been pretty traumatic on a variety of levels, and really, really frontline, really right in the grid of it, really like roar for the first 30 years. And then came with a lot of physical assaults, came with a lot of assaults and a lot of trauma. But throughout all of that, I've always asked, like, why? And it started when I was a kid, just asking, like, what is this? And the response I got was that it's all for a purpose. You have to be strong. And so since I was a child, like, I've had interesting dreams, and I've had this awareness that I needed to be physically strong, mentally strong, and really just like training my form for the times that we're in right now, which is, in my beliefs, is very prophetic time of the War of the Worlds. And I am a warrior of light. I am a rainbow warrior here to, impact and put the consciousness into what we want to see, which is utopia. We can have it. I remember it. I remember the ways that we once were, and I know that we need to hybrid. And I'm here to assist in that hybridization of acceptance and folding into self, and being here to flip the tide so that we can come into utopia, and we can live in bliss, and we can live in the ways that we know innate within the depths of ourselves, that we can experience that oneness. And also honor that it's like the Confucius thing, right? Where it's like the three Chinese people are sitting there, and they got vinegar. And the first one, and they, sweet. And then the second one, oh, bitter. And then Confucius puts some in, and it's just right. It's not Confucius, it's the Taoist. It's just right, because we're never going to be without extremes in a polarized plane. So there's an acceptance and a love of the pain and the grief and the beauty that then it brings us, the sweetness. So that's a little bit about me. I guess I love philosophy, I love psychology, I love the arts, and I love this multi-dimensional capacity that we have as humans to be existing in a physical form, but also have impact from our subtle body on the physical. And I see it, I live it, I know it, that the work that I do in the ethers, it does come down here and make change in the physical. And it's way easier than putting your fist up and being frontline and having your body hammered. So absolutely. These days, it is more so like, I battle, but I battle elsewhere, and I see the ripple out, and it's just a little easier.
It's amazing, and just so inspiring to see someone with such multiplicity and such a sense of sovereignty and agency in what you do. And it's something that I try to emulate every day, and so I definitely see you as really an amazing mentor, as a way shower for how we can be ourselves as the oneness, and I think this is a really important aspect of the crown chakra, which you'll be co-facilitating the workshop in a few weeks' time for the Color Theory project. It's this connection to the cosmic realm. But I think in our humanity, in our shared humanity, it's this connection to the oneness that we all have. Like, you are me and I am you, and all of this is us, and I love that. And I think when we can truly connect in and channel, we're able to access these incredible worlds of dreaming and visions and cosmic consciousness, past lives, and past lives, if that's the language you want to put to it, but it is whatever you want to draw meaning and significance out of what you see internally, and I've had some amazing meditation experiences with you where we go deep into these creative visualizations. So perhaps you could tell me a little bit about some of the work that you're doing with the dream alignment and the hive.
Beautiful. So I was initiated into a mystery school, 13th House Mystery School, which is a mystery school that has an open mandate, and it's 9 women that founded it in Victoria, BC, Lekwungen territory, about 30 some years ago now. And the initiation process is a Eurasian shamanic process of journeying on the drum for a year and a day and going into specific pan-Celtic realms within a tree of life structure. So there's over 1,000 initiates that have then given their resonance into this process, as well as these realms already exist. And so it's just reawakening these ancient spaces. So I've been a Black Cord Elder Priestess within the 3-cord process of the school for going on about 8 years now. but which gives me the right to be able to initiate people into this process. But I wanted to make sure that I understood and could arrive as the mentor that the way that I wanted to in my integrity before I opened the hive. So a year and a day ago, I initiated one single person just to make sure to like sharpen up on the realms and to see, after spending about 8 months of doing alternative drum journey apprenticeship process with them and dream alignment. Dream alignment is a quantum morphic field healing process that is codes and is put into the field. So the morphic field is a hypothesized field between the electrical field and the physical body. And it's a mix of hypnotherapy, NLP, and geotran, which is a modality that is only found in North America currently. And it is a formulation that my cousin Gabrielle Christiansen has put together at this stage between all of her masteries in those techniques. So these days, I opened what's called the Iklak Rainbow Hive. And so Iklak is Gaelic, Irish, for courier, spirit courier, messenger kind of thing. And so it does have to do with like a spirit message. And then obviously rainbow is all the colors of the spectrum, being a lesbian woman, but also speaking to the prophecies that come out of North America through the Hopi, the Navajo, which is that of the rainbow warriors rising. So, and I just get chills as I say that.
I just did too.
Yeah, so as I stated, I really feel very strongly that we are at a time where we need everybody at their highest capacity. So initiating and opening the hive, I've now got 9 women with me at this stage, which is beautiful. Lots of them already pretty skilled and adept practitioners, mostly have Reiki or their own modalities, and they're ready to deepen into their roots and their ancestral process and come on this journey. So they come with me twice a month. Once we do on the new moon, we go into the realm very specifically. Then around the full moon is when we do a secondary process. We learn how to use the drum to heal, channel exercises, I do a dream alignment on them. I do all of these types of things. So I've been mixing things as I hybrid everything. And so I was really excited to initiate everybody in with this new complementation of going in on the drum, clearing up and cleaning up the heart, then doing the dream alignment process and goal setting, but they get their own accelerators and their own codes. And then I just put in the clearing codes beforehand while they're in this state of visualization of themselves. Then we go down into the underworld and they go into the very specific realm, meet their emissary because there's particular guides, 4 to 9 in each realm, and they meet their emissary for this journey. But then we also did a secondary stop at a well where we collect all of our accelerator codes. So normally with dream alignment, I've got a 150-page manual and I'm muscle testing and going through, but instead, I just get you to go get your own codes. So it was awesome. I was like, can we do this? I was like, I think we can. So I got them to get their own codes from the well, integrate them in, accelerate and align their own aspects of their own field. Then we went to their personal tree of life and I do a healing process at the tree of life. So then we made sure to do that too, because I wanted to make sure everybody is safe, because these are otherworldly initiations. These are difficult. So this is where the secondary processes. I've done the process myself 5 times, apprenticing under Yvonne and 5 different hives. And so I wanted to make sure that because during those times I had other mentors, other healers come in to help me, because it can be fairly intense and it comes into your reality and it can be hard. And so this is where I have a ton of skills, but also that's why the secondary journey, to make sure, plus these extensions on just taking you to the realm. So then taking them to their tree, healing them at their tree, then we came back up and we anchored in the accelerators and the incredible difference in what their goals room looked like to when they got their accelerators and aligned and then anchored it in. And so it's just, I only have to do bookend with a couple of clearing codes and muscle test a little bit of what they need and what they need to anchor it, instead of having to do 150 pages of scrolling per person. I was able to do the whole group. So it's dream alignment clears. So it's like you are the water in this vessel. You come into this vessel, but the issue is that like trauma, ancestral garbage, beliefs, projections kind of blur you from being able to be who you are. So when you go into the morphic field, you wipe it clean so that your essence can clearly go forward and then it magnetizes and attracts all the things that you need to be that for yourself. Sometimes it looks a little messy, but most of the time it's just epic. And it's just, so yeah, combining these three things together, the personal tree healing, removing of the stuff. I'm also taking my yoga certification, so I'm uploading for them as we go through different yoga techniques, different yoga mantras, and just trying to fold in since about 2007 to now, what are all the things that have helped me center in my truth, and giving them all little samples of that so that they can be the best that they can and nurtured in the fullest as they exercise their discipline. Because the original initiation process is your white cord, and that is everybody goes through the year and a day in the tree of life. When you do the realms, you collect your guides, you collect your tools, you collect your gifts, and you come to know these realms. There's one that's specific for manifestation, and when you're in there, you speak it, it happens. And so you learn right quick that when you become woke and all this is rolling, this is your willpower, and you watch what you say, because it's fast. And especially then afterwards, if you're ever needing to manifest, you know your way there, you can hop on down to the realm of manifestation, go on into the realm of manifestation, and you can. And this is the way that the European ancestors used to do shit. They took care of it that way, you know, so we can see all these parallels in the New Age movements. But then this is a journey through your personal psyche, through this bigger Celtic tree of life, and the way that you would interact with your blood's guides and processes. And the tree is a pan Celtic tree. So it has Welsh names, it has Irish names, it has Scottish names, it has English information, but then it also has information across all cultures of like Siberian shamanism, Mongolian shamanism, shamanism from our indigenous process, I would say, more so than shaman is a tricky word, but from the world over. And that's what I really appreciate about it, because we are hybrids. And so at this point, I have the group, and we've got some people that are from Iberian Peninsula, and we have some people that are Ukrainian Polish, we have, you know, these mixes, some people that are Cree, some people that are, and what's super cool is that when I coach or work with someone, my cryptomancy, the way that the universe speaks to me, tunes in. So then this week, there's been all of a sudden YouTube videos getting sent to me about Fletchmates and Nordic Kaminga and things like this, and like this downloads of all this stuff. And then all of a sudden this morning, it was like Pakasiwaki, something or other out of Ukraine and Poland, and how the egg process of the witch eggs used to do, and how they, and so it's just this beautiful way. Then I just funnel it to the group. And then like randomly someone in my yoga class decided to teach us about Chalo, which is the gypsies out of Egypt that came into Eastern Europe and became the Romani folk, how they have this special sacred symbol that they ground themselves anywhere in the solar system. You know, and it's just so cool, because that's not my bloodline, but it's these guys' bloodline. And so then the cryptomancy's like, oh, boom, here you go. Your ancestors know you.
I love that.
So yeah, I'm just, I could speak forever on that, but yeah, it's so beautiful, and I'm just so proud already. We've only been 2 weeks. We're coming up to our full moon here last night, and so our secondary journey will be on Tuesday. And this conclusion of like, okay, let's like, what are they bringing to us, and what is the thing that we need to help this realm really integrate gently and easily, which is what dream alignment is about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
something that I really I noticed that you do is this listening. You do this listening not only within your own self, and you're a fantastic listener to others and to other healers and teachers, you know, but you yourself are an amazing teacher. And I think that's something that encapsulates a fantastic teacher, is someone who can also sit in the listening. And so it's also, I think, something that comes with the energy of the crown chakra, is listening to the cosmos, listening to the symbols and the messages that come to us, and listening to our dreams. So perhaps you could speak a little bit about some of the messages or some of the dream symbolism that resonates with you, or let's talk, I'm curious to dive deeper into some of the world of dreams and some of the things that call to you and speak to you in your dreaming world. Because for me, I guess, like, my concept of time is nonlinear, you know, and the dream is part of reality, because we're still there having the experience, even though it may be within our own psychic framework while we're asleep, but it's still occurring, whether it's like in the manifest realm or not. But there are messages, there are ways that we can find symbols and direction and aspects of work that we may need to heal, or yeah, and I've done some amazing I guess you could say past life dream alignment stuff with you. You know,
You've done the echidna dream time with me.
yeah.
You haven't experienced a dream alignment actually with me yet, and you've experienced a past life redemption as well with me.
Which is so fascinating. So perhaps you could speak to some of that.
Yeah, so let's start with just like dreams in general. So like dreams have like 4 different types of dreaming as far as my teachings go, which is that there's the compost dream. That's just your day, your garbage. There's your lucid dream, which is where you're actually physically walking out and you're having an out-of-body experience. And you're in this more lucid awareness of the tangibility of the dream space. Then there is your prophetic dream, which is your future dreams, and you dream the future. Then you have your medicine dream. And that's when like certain animals or certain supernaturals will come and those are gift times. So one of the really beautiful things with dreams is that my family has always spoken of them in high regards. My brother, when my mother was pregnant with my brother, my father sat up on the side of the bed and spoke German. And then he knew the names of the streets, the address, and for about 20 minutes he couldn't speak English. And it tripped my mother right out. But so as a young kid, that was part of our family's awareness. And my dad always had these wild dreams and these like whoa hallucinations, and my father's a wonderful long-haired hippie and quite enjoys plant medicines, shall we say. And so it's always also been this expansion awareness of the tools. So when I was a kid, one of my earliest dreams I had was me in an apple box at about 3 years old with a snake in a jar, and I was floating in an apple box. And if people know, the Celts, apples are sacred to the Celts. Snakes are also aspects of the Kundalini, sexual activation, energies, things like this, as well as divine feminine and healings. So I used to dream of running, probably when I was about 12, I had a reoccurring dream of sliding down an embankment in this creek full of snakes. And I'd go to step and all of a sudden my leg would be in this creek of just thick snakes. Found out later that anacondas orgy like that. And so that anacondas will orgy from up to 4 miles. A big female anaconda will find a sump in a swamp area, shallow, warm, and then she'll start emitting hormones. And then for 4 miles, anacondas of all sizes will come and they'll orgy. Wow. So I was actually dreaming of stepping into finding an anaconda orgy. And then later I started to find the tip of this giant snake. So in my 20s, when I started to get woke, about 2006, 2007, regular process, discipline, counseling, anger management, this kind of like health, meditation, spinning fire, like coming into like, okay, quitting smoking, quitting everything kind of space. Then I started to dream of finding the tip of this very large snake and then going up it, and it was humongous. And then I found the head of the snake in 2017 when I went to Thailand. And I realized that I'd had dreams of Thailand, and I also had dreams of Australia and being sent on a bus, being put on a bus with people, dark-skinned people, and it was darker, 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 to the darkest of the dark, the blackest of the black, and I was sent to the very back of the bus. And I was about 25, I was having these dreams, and I was like, what the hell am I doing, this little white girl? Why am I in the back of the bus with the blackest of the black? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. But since doing more ancestral work and things like that, I've been told by them that I do have drops of blood from these lands, from Maori, and there is dark, 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 but it doesn't take much to pale us, and things like this. So from my dreams, I've always had these very vivid dreams, this respect for my dreams, and then this notion of what is it, what's going on here, what's happening. Then when I started the initiation process with 13th House Mystery School, one of the things that the Celts is a practice of the Celts is that you are given 2 snakes. You feed them nothing but milk and honey and keep them in a pit for 7 years. Then at the end of 7 years, they become dragons, and you can ride them, and they eat nothing but crystallized rock salt. Which I think is really beautiful, that Himalayan rock salt's fucking everywhere right now. It's like dragon's rise. And so then it made sense of like the serpents and like waking up these memories. One of the things about the dream world is that we have we have 4 bodies. We have our physical body, then we have our nature diva higher self, then we have our soul that lays down, sits at the back of our head and lays down our spine, and then we have our higher self that is the soul. So when we go to sleep, we sit up from our body and we begin to walk from our body in what is known by Promethea, by Alan Moore, as the inertia. And the inertia is this like in between consciousness space. So anything that ever was is there. So any collective consciousness that goes up creates very rapidly in the inertia. And so if people stop believing in those gods, then it dwindles and it kind of gets a little dusty, but they're still there. And so that's where when you start wandering for past lives, you start seeking ancient knowledge, you can run into them and dust them off and find them again. And they say that artists, shamans, inventors, they wander the inertia. So when we leave our body at night, we have a little cord about the size of a toonie that goes off. And when we're about 40 feet from our body, if a spider drops on us or something happens, we wake up. But once we're at about 60 feet from our body, that's when we begin to go into the deep sleep and we begin to wander further in the inertia. So then artists, shamans, whatever you want to call yourself, inventors, they wander far and they find things. And this is why when you have a really good artistic idea, you visualize locking it in a vault. Otherwise, all of a sudden, the collective consciousness, all these other artists are doing your same project.
There's some really interesting stuff surrounding shared ideas that pop up, and you can transmit ideas energetically through frequencies. Super fascinating.
You're on the same wavelength, and then all of a sudden you're starting to build this like woo, woo, woo in the ethers, and then someone else comes along and is like woohoo, and then you're like, I was gonna do that next week. What are you doing? But it's because you started to put your coins into the inertia and you didn't put any boundaries on it, and other artists wander. And
there's a really fascinating story in the book Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert, where she literally had this like very specific narrative of a woman who left her job to go and travel in Brazil or something like that, and she'd met this woman that she really admired, another writer, and she basically wrote that narrative without any communication. And the narrative was almost uncannily identical. And she was like, I gave you my idea through transmission somehow, kissed on the cheek. And we're connected energetically. And you see that in a lot of the science surrounding sound and vibrational healing, which is absolutely incredible, which I'd love to chat more with you about, because I know that you work with the crystal singing bowls and drumming and sound therapy. And so perhaps you can continue your train of thought,
that's just the main foundations, I think, for dreams, is that there's those 4 types of dreamings, and that we are wandering in the inertia. And some people go up, have their house, have their dog, go to the grocery store and come back, and that's all they do. But people that are inventors, like artists, healers, like we wander big,
seekers,
and we go and we find interesting things, and it's very beautiful. One thing that I think is really cool is, do you want to share what your vision was of why you see me as the crown chakra?
So for me, this color theory project came to me through a dream vision, and it was it initially came out of I think the pandemic had just hit, and there were all the Black Lives Matter protests and dialogue surrounding that. And for me, the inquiry was into like, who am I as a white Australian living on colonized land in Australia, and what does that mean? Because I feel so deeply that I'm an ally to the colored people and to the LGBT. I definitely identify as queer, but I felt this this strong desire to connect with the community in our shared humanity and shared creativity. And so there were very specific people, and the artists of the facilitators of the color theory project. And initially I was the crown chakra, and something that I think has come to me through exploring this work is, where can I take a step out and allow others to shine their light, you know? And so for me, it was this, I feel a big resonance with you, you know, this, I feel like we have a lot in common and have some shared energetic aspects of who we are. And it's just this profound connection to the cosmos, you know, and the way that you're able to channel that and come back into the body, into the alignment, like in the embodied realm, you know. So I think that was probably the biggest thing that resonated with me, was
I want to remind you that you had a vision.
Yeah.
Do you want to share the vision that you had right when you were in between sleep? Do you remember that one?
Do you mean the vision of me and Livy, or
No,
the dream? I don't remember at the moment.
Okay,
you
so-
tell me. You
so, yeah,
remind
so-
me.
So Lillian, I came over the one day and Lillian was like, oh, you know, I think you're the crown chakra. I had this vision last night in between my half sleep, and I seen you, and I think it's got something to do with this paint, and you were doing this white paint up your arms, and then you took the paint and you bring it up in your hair, and then all of a sudden your head just tilts back and you let out this giant roar. And you were like, I've never heard you roar, but I have this feeling that you can roar. And all of the people that are watching this from Canada know my bellow. They know when I'm at a protest, they know when I'm at a fucking drag show, they know when I arrive, because I have a bellow.
Yeah, there's this
I
power,
have
for
a
sure.
roar that I do that is loud. It is deafening if we're in a small space. And at a protest, it is the loudest thing above everything. Like, I have this bellow. So that was hilarious. But what was really beautiful is that I've been carrying a prophecy for about 7 years now, right when I was beginning to learn how to do channel exercises, because the crown chakra is channeling source. It's how to channel clean source, because there's a lot of middle world beings. We can talk all till Sunday and get all sorts of psychic information. It's great, but it costs. But source doesn't. So the crown chakra is how you clearly connect to source and how to get the clean guidance. Because you get guidance from the middle world, all, like I said, all till Sunday. But any which way, I was beginning to learn how to channel. And I got set to work with one of the channel mates from Manamachara. We did about 8 months, 2 different groups, and I would host them in my home, and we would do different exercises with my mentor and past life redemptions. And so we got set to work together. And so we were working together, and it's this vision of me as this young brown boy. I'm a chief's son, and I'm on the side of a river. There's two nations on the side of a river, and we're shape-shifting people. And I had the destiny to unite the tribes, but the other nation wanted their son to be the one to have the destiny, so they challenged that. So then I'm there, and Dale's channeling for me, and it's like, okay, now you gotta prepare for this thing. The torches are going off, you're being decorated, you're this skinny boy, and you've got to like pump yourself up and get ready for this test. They're drawing this circle, they're putting the torches, and the other boy is there too, and like, you got to get ready. So I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, just doing this process, not sure what we're doing because it's super fresh and everything. Then next thing you know, it's like, okay, it's starting. Okay, what are you doing? And I was like, I don't know, I shapeshift into a tiger. And they're like, okay, cool, yeah, you shape-shifting into a tiger, and then all of a sudden he turns into a boar and then runs into me and kills me and eats my junk. And Dale's like, whoa, you just got your ass handed to you. You just got killed. And I was just like, oh shit, okay. And then Dale's like, okay, what do we do? This is weird. Okay, back it up, rewind. And they're like, dude, you gotta be faster. I don't know what this is, but you gotta be faster. And I was like, okay, I can do this. I can be faster. Okay, so we're both just channeling together. We're visualizing this, and they're like, all right, so the circle's there. You're starting to shapeshift into a tiger. He shapeshifts into a boar. He's coming to crash into you. What do you do? And I was like, okay, I jump on him. I put my claws in, and then I shapeshift into a snake, and I spin around him, and I bite him. And I'm a constrictor, but I'm also poisonous, and I kill him. And then Dale's like watching it happen, and it's like, okay, yep, it worked. Okay, he's dead now. And I was like, okay, what's next? And he's like, well, you got to crush his skull and eat his heart and eat his junk. And I was like, okay, so this crush his skull and I just eat his heart and I cut his and I eat his junk and okay. And you know, and I'm seeing myself as this brown boy doing this and whatnot. And it's like, okay, cool. And then I was like, what now? And then Dale's like, oh, whoa, there's this massive smoke army coming from the west. They're coming from off the desert. And they're like these beasts. And all of a sudden I'm seeing them too. And they're like all these smoke cloak beings, which I now know are the jinn. And at the time, we didn't have any clue of who the fuck these beings are, but they're a particular type of evil spirit that comes from the Middle East to Europe area of things. And yeah, and so there's this army of them coming, and they've got this sea monster of some kind, and it's got like sonic wave energy that can cause weather disruptions, break buildings, and they brought it out of the ocean and they have it chained and they're pulling it across this desert, and they're like riding on these giant like boar like bull things, and they're coming. There's this huge army of them. And Dale's like, holy fuck, what are we gonna do? And I was like, I don't know, what am I supposed to do? And Dale's like, you have to unite the tribes. And I was like, okay. And then he's like, you unite everyone and everybody comes together and we all line up. And we line up where the sand meets the forest. And we're standing on this edge, and I see this vision of us all lining up and all coming together, and it's huge. There's thousands of us lining up all together. And then all of a sudden this energy starts coursing through everyone, and it starts pulsing all the way through everyone, and it starts coming, and then all of a sudden it comes through me. And then I'm sitting there channeling, and I'm seeing this, and I'm feeling it, and all of a sudden I'm like, "Ah!" And my head shoots back, and this massive sound comes out of me, and it just slams into the sky. And Dale's like, holy shit, like, dude, you're just like, this wave of sound is coming out of you. You're channeling everybody's energy through you. It's coming through you. It's blasting into the sky. And it started to swirl around and make this huge spiral happening in the sky. And then all of a sudden it's swelling, it's swelling, it's swelling. And then it just like, boom. And this huge wave of light just goes firing across the world, like across the land. And it hits this smoke army and it just decimates them. Mm-hmm. And then the sea monster's still stuck in his chains, but he goes back into the ocean and disappears into the ocean. And then Dale's like, whoa, you did it. Mm-hmm. You did it. Okay. And I was like, okay, well, what now? And they're like, you got to feed everyone. Everybody's exhausted. So then I seen myself cutting papayas and mangoes and feeding everyone. And then Dale's like, oh, you get your wife. Mm-hmm. And I was like, and then I got this vision of this beautiful woman with this red panel across her eyes and like, and you know, everything. And then Dale's like, oh, you get your, okay, yep, oh, you're very happy. I do not need to see that. We do not need to go into that. You get your wife though, and it's lovely, and you're very happy. And so once you do this, you get your wife. And so coming to Australia, I've had this weird, like, your wife is here, your wife is here, your wife is here. And then, you know, other mentors, my Maori mentor, like at the very beginning of my 18 months of weekly journeying with her was like, what do you mean you don't have a partner? You're partnered. And I was like, no, I'm single. And she's like, no, you're not. She's here. She's here. She's somewhere. And I was like, I know, right? But where? I don't know. And so then it was really trippy. But then when I stopped by that one morning, you were like, yeah, last night I had this vision of you just like this crown chakra and bringing down the energy, and then all of a sudden being filled with it, and then just like, ah! Yeah. And I was just like, got chills, and I was like, I know this. I know this. And I know what we're here to do. So just a beautiful blessing to this, because I've been on this hunt and I have done these battles, and I have the first time got my fucking junk eaten and thought I was going to die in Australia, and just, oh man. And then the secondary battle happened, and I thought I'd already done the secondary battle, but it was more than beyond. And then I've experienced like dreams that I had as a child of being in waters with crocodiles. Then I had that experience here, and so my whole life has been preparing me from the time I was wee through my dreams for this time here in Australia, you know. And yeah, and I was obsessed with platypuses. I wrote a story about a penguin and a koala that like both made bathtub boats and then crossed in the middle of the ocean, trying to go to each other's places. And I just, have been obsessed with Australia, and dreamed of being in the waters with saltwater crocodiles lots when I was a kid. And just this awareness of like, I'm in waters with salties, like you have to go slow. And then I experienced that physical experience here up in Darwin, and it's just exceptional. Like I used to dream of driving backwards and driving standard manual, and I was like, why do I dream of driving backwards like really fast on a highway with manual? Like I don't drive manual standard back in Canada. But here in Australia, I learned how to drive manual, and I was driving on the other side of the road. So that's what was my dream. Even those were prophetic dreams, trying to tell me you're gonna learn how to drive standard in Australia, and it's gonna be ripping fast as you like figure this shit out. And like, and they're like, okay, you're driving manual, but you're on the other side of the road, but your brain can't get this. So you're driving backwards. And so in my dreams, I'd be like, why am I driving backwards? Like, why am I?
Amazing.
Yeah. So you never know with your dreams. So I'm a huge advocate for writing them down,
Totally,
observing them, and just like the levels of comprehension that can unpack, and then the incredible cryptomancy of the universe is always talking to us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the more that you harvest the way that you listen and the way that you speak and the way that you know, then the more that it arrives and shows up for you and delivers. And it's just exceptional, magical, mystical life that we can have experiences with here on this planet we call Earth. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really interesting. So like one of the things that that you've spoken with me about a lot as well is it's like when we access these transcendental realms and these cosmic realms, something that's so important is to protect ourselves energetically and to have these boundaries or these processes that are able to energetically keep us safe, because like you say, it's this enormous cosmic realm of energy, and so like you can access this right in the middle world as well, but there are all kinds of different entities and things and spirits and guides, but then dark energy or like all kinds of different entities.
But it requires discernment.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just like how every person on the planet isn't your best friend. You know,
exactly.
Not every person you meet in the ethers.
Absolutely.
And especially if you're not aware, if you're in the end, so there's the underworld, the middle world, and the upper world. The underworld and the upper world don't have violence. So if you're experiencing violence in your journeying, then it means you're in the middle world. And so some people highly recommend, no, stay out of the middle world, But part of me is like, if no one's going to do the business in the middle world, then who's going to do the business in the middle world? We're just going to leave this to just wars of all sorts to happen, and then eventually drop to the because that's what happens. It drops into the physical when there's enough of it there. So I don't do tons of battle these days, just random, but I do have protocol and attendance of testing source, checking, making sure, is this clean? Is this good? Is this for the highest divinity for all involved and the most compassionate action for all involved? And it's just intention. But you do have to strengthen your intention like a muscle. And when you got that nice solid awareness, then you can be very safe, as well as you can kin and cloak and assist and keep other people safe. And I've experienced that sensation with all different levels of mentors, with ones that are very protective and ones that are very leaky. And that's where, like I said, I did the tree myself 5 times with Yvonne and different apprenticing her while we did different hives initiations. And then I also studied everything and anything I could get my hands on, because I experienced things that were intense. Like the first time I went through the realms, I had lucid dreams, these men with these children with black eyes, like breaking into my house, and it was really scary. And then I had suicidal thoughts coming in, and like just like woof, and then I let my mentor know. I was like, something's going on, like, you know. And her response was, well, you know, you're doing something right when they come for you. And then she just left, and that was a little bit uncomfortable for me. But also I understand sink or swim, and she's English and Welsh. So what I was experiencing is an English and Welsh supernatural activity. what I was experiencing is indigenous to Turtle Island supernatural activity. So within 30 minutes, I ran into a funny little indigenous girl who's doing a rhino with the helmet on in one of our art classes. And then I just felt called to share my dream that I had. And as soon as I did, she was like, oh, and she's like, that's trouble. And she's like, trouble shows up as children and cats with black eyes. Check their eyes next time. But the good thing is when they got in, they passed out immediately, which means trouble is having trouble giving you trouble. But you've been having bad thoughts, hey? Because they bring in the not good thoughts. And I was like, yeah, I've been struggling in a way that isn't common for me. And she's like, don't worry, I'll talk to my auntie. I get you the medicine. We burn this, you'll do fine. And so then she brought it to me, and then I burned it a few times, and all of that left. And it was just easy. But during that time, other people who had indigenous in them showed up in my house and also experienced seeing these cats, that I had cats in this lucid dream space, but then they'd go to touch the cats and the cat's belly would be slimy. And then they'd wake up on my couch and they're like, oh, Naomi, you have cats. Like, why do you have cats? And I was like, they're not cats, they're fucking shitheads. And I don't know what, but yeah, so it's very interesting. So at this stage, that's why I took the time to get deeper into figuring out, how do we find out who our ancestors are? How do we navigate listening, communicating cleanly, clearly, who, what, how, why, keeping that crown chakra connected to source and channeling that from the highest, so we don't get lost in the gray zones and stuck in these little traps that have been set perhaps a little while ago when we were very actively doing wizard wars and super potent next level creatures on this planet. I mean, we could fucking fly. Like, we are so simpleton these days compared to what actually is the human capacity.
I have these visions of these magical worlds. It's funny, in my dreams, it's often just this unquestioned part of the reality that we're all magic.
Yeah, because we were.
Yeah. And it's like, it's just unsaid, unwritten thing that, yes, I have magical powers and that exists, and I'm able to use my intention and my abilities to shape the reality around me. And I think we've lost touch with that, in this reality. We've become disconnected with our sense of magic and connection with source.
Yeah, well, we've been very intentionally colonized.
Yeah.
So even as a pale person, we have been very intentionally colonized. And I think we're at school pickup.
Yeah, we're almost time to finish. So perhaps, I guess to finish up is like, I think one of the key important things to land on as the culmination is this idea of integration and how we can integrate these transcendental psychic experience, psychedelic experiences, and bring them back into who we are in this reality. So perhaps would you like to speak to that a little?
Yeah, so it definitely comes down to physical practice, so I activated my comprehension of it now is that I activated my Kundalini when I was about 18, 19. It ended up looking like Western psychosis kind of thing, but everything that I was learning and understanding at the time, like, I'd look at my thumbnail and it would go down and go down and go down and go down until it broke everything down into math. And the whole world made sense as math, which was amazing to me. I was like, the world is math. Wow.
It is.
And it was really, really beautiful because I could understand everything. But when you activate that level, traditionally you didn't activate your Kundalini for 8 years until you did 8 years of seated and grounding techniques, because of that awareness that when you activate it, you can fry your human self. And you don't want to be human. You don't come back to be human. You get really excited and it's exhilarating and fulfilling, but it's hard to anchor that in. There's a beautiful crystal called coxicolite that is very helpful for that, which is red amethyst, and it's hematite on top of amethyst. And so it anchors your spiritual reality into your physical body, so spirit becomes like breathing, and then that way you stay grounded while you stay connected. There's also argonite, which is really lovely because it anchors you, but it allows you to go up like a kite and collect your information, and then it brings you back down really nicely. And so there's definitely an importance of like feeding the horse when you are waking the crown. And I think that's where like yoga in its fullness is the asana, the postures, it is the lifestyle, But all of the asana, the stretching and everything is actually in preparation for the seated meditation, so that everything is flowing properly in the horse, so you're not dealing with the blockages in the body when you go up into spirit, which is a lot more metaphoric and wild to deal with. But if you got your body, everything's flowing good down here, then you don't have as much mess to deal with up there.
Yeah, that's why embodiment practice is so amazing and important and therapeutic and healing. And yeah, we can use that to move energy and move our stuckness and our stagnance and become integrated and whole again. Yeah. And I think really that's the crown chakra, is how we, because the white light is all the colors. And that's for me like the beautiful profundity of it. I mean, and all of them have reflections of all each other's, like I said before, but it's really, this integration where we become whole. And I really love that.
I look forward to the future workshop we'll be doing on April 2nd, I think it was.
April 2nd, I believe. So if anyone is interested to come along, Naomi and I are going to be co-facilitating the Crown Chakra workshop on the 2nd of April. It's a Saturday. So feel free to reach out to us and connect with us if you're interested in that. And feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share, do all that jazz. And you can all share Naomi's socials and all the links to the work that she's doing. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Lillian. This is really incredible. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for the dog for adjusting the camera slightly. And
brilliant.
It's beautiful. So we'll see you all around. Bless you on your journey. And maybe rise. Maybe rise.